This is an RCA 15K-1 chassis and speaker. After recapping and changing a few resistors, the caps are a mixture of restuffed original caps and reproduction caps. Are made to the same design as the originals. Power supply. At the moment I just jury-rigged some electrolytics under the chassis just to test it out and to see what the peak voltage is on switch on. I didn't want to restuff the metal cans and then find I hadn't put the right caps in there. And there's no voltage specifications in the manual. So it's a little bit wary. I've got a 500 volt working cap as the reservoir cap and two 450s as the smoothing caps. The RF section on these radios is a separate unit which bolts into the main chassis. That's it there. And it's rather strangely named the Magic Brain. There's a whole series of RCA radios in the mid-30s with this advertising gimmick. And it's a really nice set. It's a 15 tube set, of course, hence the name 15K-1. And it covers low frequencies, sort of the LF band, broadcast band and shortwave bands, right up to 60 megahertz, which I guess was another big selling feature back in the day. Not that there's much there these days. It's also got some fancy controls. It's got a speech control, which is connected to the on-off switch, so it varies between speech and music. More of a sort of a fancy tone control, which is linked into the volume control, which is also quite a fancy control with several taps. And then there's the Fidelity switch, which also, at the extreme setting up here, it clicks a switch at the end of its range, and that switch switches in and out a tertiary winding on the first IF transformer to broaden the bandwidth for maximum fidelity, which is fully clockwise. And the rest of the travel acts as a tone control. It also, at the extreme clockwise position, switches out another capacitor across the grids of the output tubes, again as a sort of a tone control function. The band change switch is linked to another switch, electronic switch, so on two of the bands, the broadcast band and the low frequency band, it actually changes the bias on some of the tubes. Slightly, so a bit of a subtle effect. Checked all that and it works. I had to, instead of restuffing this box here, which comprises a resistor capacitor array linked into this switch, I actually built a little circuit board and masked it with this box. This can be taken off, and from the rear of the chassis, when it's in the cabinet, you won't be able to see the little circuit board on the back here. And this is the original umbilical connected into the switches. The speaker's been rewired. It's got a new 6E5 tube in there as a I tube. All the other tubes tested okay. There's a couple that are marginal, but I thought I'd try them in there to see if they worked. And I've switched it on already and just checked the voltages, and it actually does seem to be working reasonably well. So I'll switch it on just as a little test. You can watch the meter there, see what the voltage goes up to on the tubes light up. The rectifier tubes in this are 5Z4s, which are indirectly heated, so it's actually got a bit of a soft switch on.
With myself to make sure that my
There we go.
fundamental values and the values reflected in the society where I do my business, that they all. In the real world.
Fraud and not know it. Find it through your home at home. Tea at night.
Another odd knock on the way. The words pregnant and good night sleep, though, don't exactly mix. I was struggling. Enter the sleep expert at Sleep
right pillow for my unique sleep needs. Turns out the BioSoy pillow was the perfect choice. The high-density foam adapts to my head and neck to better support my tired back. Trust me, when you're midway through your third trimester, you need all the support you can get. And the all-natural hypoallergenic cover provides comfort all night long. Thanks to my new BioSoy pillow, I am sleeping like a baby. Right now, buy one BioSoy pillow.
So there it is. It's second switch on of the radio. Voltages look reasonable. Most of the controls seem to work as they should. I think this control needs a little bit of thinking about, and the volume control, I think I need to dismantle that and give it a good clean. The Fidelity control I actually took to pieces and cleaned completely. That's why that works really well. But this one is a bit erratic, and I'm hoping it can be clean, because it's such a fancy control. I could make it into just a standard volume control, but that wouldn't be quite as good, and I think this needs a little bit of work as well. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll give it another demonstration once I've done some more work on it and checks, and check the alignment as well.